sorry. I was grabbing my pen. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to our Secure Family Initiatives biweekly briefing today. I'm Brandy Jones, the organizing director here at Secure Families Initiative. And this past week, I was reading a powerful and timely article titled, "Could Military Spouses Fix DoD's Recruitment Problem?" With U.S. military recruiting numbers falling, we thought this issue was pressing and invited the author of this piece, Jennifer Barnhill, here to chat with us today. Hi, Jennifer.
Hey, Brandy. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for asking.
Thank you so much for coming on today. I mean, when I read this article, I just thought, oh, we have to discuss this more. And I would love if you could just start by sharing a little bit more about your article and kind of what gave you the idea to write this.
Yeah. So I'm a military family reporter. I have been covering topics from, Gold Star families, an exceptional family member program, food insecurity, all different types of topics. And throughout that reporting, I kind of saw some patterns. And it was hard to ignore them. The things that people were experiencing, if they were reserve or guard families, they felt like they were not really a part of the active duty community. And that seemed to be the pattern also that was experienced by military family issues. So they kept, wondering, why is this all happening? And a lot of the stories I was covering felt kind of like there was a lot of Band-Aid solutions to these underlying problems. And so it ended up turning into a book. It's kind of turning into a book, but I wanted to write an op-ed because I think that it's an important conversation to share and to have.
Yes, I agree. I mean, I know that you shared that you've been working within the military community space for a while now, that you're a spouse. Can you share more about that work?
Yeah. So it all kind of started with one person. I was active in my spouse community. I was just kind of plugging along, doing project management and writing here and there. And I noticed that at our spouse group, one of our members was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And so obviously that was devastating for her family, for her, our group. We realized we just weren't able to come around and support her. So that structure, that spouse group structure really was the thing that kind of got me into reporting and to covering these topics. Because I just wondered, if this group is meant to support our families when the service members are gone, then what happens when we're not active? Like, who cares for families in these ways? And so I kind of plugged in by writing. I plugged in to Partners in Promise. I work as their chief operating officer and lead researcher. I volunteered with Secure Families Initiative here and there during the election. I also am the editor-in-chief of the National Military Spouse Network's magazine. And so I do a lot within this community.
Yes.
It always sounds more crazy when I say it out loud.
No, and we're so grateful for all that you're doing within our community. I know that, within our spouse community, it's like a tight group. And there's this article, like in your article, there's a statement that you made that really resonated with me. And I'm sure it really resonated with others who read. It states, "But who am I to say I don't wear the uniform? I don't serve. And to the DoD, I'm just a spouse." I mean, when I read that statement, so many thoughts went through my mind. I was just wondering if you could tell us how you came up with this and why.
Well, I think we kind of all joke about that. Like, it's not something maybe that's on like a meme or hashtag that we're, just a spouse. But that is a sentiment that I interviewed so many different people with different circumstances. We have a very diverse military spouse community in all ways of that word. Like, I'm talking to families who, are enrolled in EFMP themselves, or racial diversity, geographic diversity. We are diverse. But the things that keep coming up, or the patterns that kind of found their way into this article, was this idea that they didn't feel like they belonged. And reality is, some of the circumstances that we experience, and it really does point to that message. If you are dealing with food insecurity. Like, would you let your family member go without food knowingly? If you value them and understand them. So the messages that I was hearing being reported was, well, I was told I wasn't budgeting properly. And I think luckily in that example, the DoD is very much aware of what's going on, and they have changed the way that they see this issue. However, it's this idea that these issues that we're facing are just that. They're like one-off issues instead of something that is caused by the whole highly mobile military lifestyle that needs to be corrected. So, that's one example. I don't know if I've answered your question. I definitely
No, 100%. And the example you gave, I can definitely relate to hearing those budgeting and types of, like, I guess, people being described as maybe if you just do this instead of really addressing the issue at hand. So I guess, what tangible change could the DoD make relative to spouses to improve recruiting and retention?
So obviously there's a lot of, and let me get this straight. Like, I am not a policy person. I can share the experiences of the families that I've interviewed, and I've collected a lot of data on this. So this is based on those interviews and researching this community. One tangible way is to think of how the words that are used to talk about our community. So one of them is dependent, which is right up there with resilient in the words that I hate that are in the military. And so by calling us dependents on paperwork, that's just one small example. Dependent means to hang from. So in this kind of, if you think about it, if you're saying that I am dependent upon my spouse, I am pulling on them, my active duty spouse, and I am weighty and I'm asking a lot of them. And if he's not strong enough to hold up the burden that I pull down on him, then he's not strong enough, and it could damage the entire relationship. I kind of liken it to, when you go to a new house and you're hanging up all your pictures, the ones you've PCS with for, X number of years. And if you don't know how strong of an anchor you need to put into the wall, your painting, your picture, your mirror is going to fall and break. And it's a really dangerous analogy for families. And I think that I don't want to say that one word is a big deal, because in itself, it's not, but it's the message that word sends. It says that we are not just as essential to making this work as the admin person who's, checking their IDs in the front, or, XYZ. We're all a team. Our contributions don't have to be equal to matter. Not pretending that I have the same responsibility as my service member, but we do still contribute, and calling us dependents does not portray that contribution.
I mean, absolutely, words matter. And you touched on so many great topics just now, but I guess one is jumping out. Can you talk more about the unpaid labor military spouses do in support of their family and their service member?
Yeah. So I have done, I would say, roughly 50 interviews with military spouses, across the country, different backgrounds, different experiences. And, a lot of things have come up. The type of labor that they do is different. Some people report saying, I'm a serial volunteer. This is what I would be doing anywhere. I would be volunteering with my church. I would be volunteering at a PTA. This is me. And that's fair. Absolutely great. And then there's others who report that they volunteer because they felt pressured to, or they observed that the person ahead of them did it. And so they felt that they should, even though they were not asked specifically to volunteer, but they observed that pattern of, hey, my spouse's boss, their spouse did this, so I should do this too if I want my spouse to move on up the chain, fill in the blank. Mm-hmm. So there's the unpaid labor can be anything from, doing morale-focused events through a spouse group. It could be fundraising to offset costs for enlisted personnel to attend special morale boosting activities. There are a number of studies that actually say that some of the fundraising that military spouses do actually offset the shortfall in enlisted pay. So there is definitely research out there that points to these patterns, but it goes all the way up until, nonprofit organizations, as I mentioned in the article. There are nonprofits that spring up out of kind of sector failure within the Department of Defense programming. So if a spouse feels as though a service is not being provided to the level of need that's there, they might step up in their community to offer that service. And so it can be any number of levels of need that are being filled, but military spouses are often stepping up to fill it, and they're not getting paid.
Yeah. I mean, at SFI, we like to believe that, our military families, we have this unique role, and because of our identity and our service to our communities, we have this position that we can kind of express things that usually can't be shared by any other group. And so I really feel like your article does such a great job of doing just that. And we really thank you here at Secure Families for coming on, for sharing, for telling us about these issues in a way that makes other people feel that maybe they're not alone in feeling that way. So I guess last but not least, where can our members find out more about you, Jennifer? You're so busy.
Well, it looks like there is on the bottom there, they're scrolling over. I am not good at social media. I would much rather be editing or writing, like hiding behind my computer. This talking is great, but it's not my comfort zone. So feel free. I am active on LinkedIn. I am on all of the places that I'm supposed to be, but not. I am not cool enough. Oh, there's my son. Hi, he has homesick. This is real life, right? Yes, you can have a snack.
Part of our life, yes.
Real life. So you can connect with me on, I would say LinkedIn professionally is where I kind of hang out most. I know that's probably like aging me right there. I wish I could make reels and be cool, but I definitely am not that.
No, LinkedIn still works, totally. Well, thank you again for coming on today. It's really been amazing speaking with you, Jennifer. We appreciate all the work you're doing.
Thanks. And one other thing, that if I am going to be writing for military.com in the future, and so if folks have not subscribed to military.com to get those newsletters, they do send out newsletters that highlight the different articles that are out there, and there will be a lot more topics covering military family issues coming.
Thank you. We're grateful for that. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thanks, Brittany. Thanks, Secure Families.
Absolutely. Bye.